Hello there, hello there. What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing great and fantastic. Your friend Dean Kulaweera here every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. I'm right here to help you folks out with job search related tips, advice, strategies, all that good stuff, all that fun stuff. Hey, I hope you're doing fantastic. Excuse me, I'm just trying to get my Instagram live going over here. Okay, I don't know what's going on with that, but in any case, hey. Don't be shy. Feel free to introduce yourself in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from. And definitely if you're in IT, let me know what kind of IT roles you're looking for. And if there's any way that I can help, definitely feel free to send me a direct message after today's stream as well. And before I get into the Q&A, quick shout out to everyone tuning in on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I would say Instagram, but I'm always having these technical issues with Instagram. Like I don't know what's up with this. Like I scheduled the whole thing, and I don't know what's going on, folks. I don't know if anyone's an Instagram expert out there. Help a brother out, okay? I don't know what. Okay, there you go. I think I got it. Oh, there you go. Yeah, all right. Sorry about that. Sorry about me fumbling like that. But hey, shout out to everyone tuning in out there. Let's see. We got some comments coming here. We got Arjun in the house. Arjun says, "Hello, hey Arjun, good to have you here. Good to see you around. Hope you're doing great, my friend, and hope you're doing amazing and fantastic. If I'm not mistaken, you're based out of the UK, if I remember correctly, or somewhere in Europe, I think. But always good to see you here, Arjun. Appreciate that. We got my friend Nick in the house. Nick says it's Wednesday and Deem is streaming again. Consistency, that's the trick. Yes, absolutely, my friend. Definitely got to be consistent. Although, to be fair, I did not do the stream last week. Wednesday had some fire alarm testing in my building here. So there was like alarms going off and a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, definitely, Wednesdays, 11 a.m. I'm right here. And by the way, folks, if you're in software development, this is a guy you got to follow. He posts a lot of amazing content. I believe if I remember correctly, more so in terms of front end development, I think JavaScript. If I'm not mistaken, feel free to correct me in the comments, Nick. But hey, this is a guy you definitely want to follow, folks. Great content, very active on LinkedIn, especially if you're a developer or have some interest in software development. Make sure you follow this guy. Nick is amazing, fantastic. Always good to have you here, Nick. So appreciate you tuning in. All right. With that being said, again, for those of you tuning in for the first time, my name is Dean, and every Wednesday I go live here on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and of course Instagram as well. Although Instagram yet again is giving me some technical issues right now. But in any case, if you're an IT professional in the Greater Toronto area, I definitely want to make sure that you and I are connected. We're in communication. If I'm not recruiting on anything right now that I can help you with, definitely hope that I can help you with something else in the future as well, right? So if you're an IT professional in the Greater Toronto area, don't be shy. Send me a direct message, introduce yourself, let me know who you are, what you're looking for, what type of roles you're looking for. I'll definitely do my best to help you out, all right? And we got my friend Sweta Rejmi in the house. Folks, if you don't know Sweta, like you have been living in a cave, my friends, all right? Make sure you follow Sweta. She's a fantastic career coach and job search strategy, and like she posts so many amazing, fantastic stuff. And appreciate you tuning in, Sweta. So, folks, if you want great job search related tips and content, make sure you follow Sweta as well. All right, great person to follow. I always mix up like where to point. I don't know how the weather people do it, but in any case, say hey, hope you're doing great, Sweta. Thanks so much for tuning in. So, folks, today what I wanted to talk about before I get into the Q&A, and by the way, if you're tuning in, make sure you hit me up with a like and a share as well. Always appreciate that. And if you want to follow me on my other social channels, all my social links are on my link. I don't know how to pronounce it, but linktr.ee, I guess. So just go to linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. All my social media links are there if you want to follow me on the other various channels. So again, linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. So feel free to do that. And make sure you hit me up with a like and share. And also, for those of you tuning in, make sure you put in your job search or recruitment related questions in the comments, because I'm just going to kick it off with my tip for today. I'm going to talk a bit about having your LinkedIn profile ready today. Okay, that's going to be today's tip. And I was inspired to talk about this area because I get messages from people obviously all the time, introducing themselves, which is great. Hey, if you're doing that, keep doing that. I love to get to know you if you're an IT professional here in Toronto. But I did want to share with you folks today some tips in relation to reaching out to recruiters on LinkedIn. Okay, and it has to do with your LinkedIn profile. But in the meantime, if you have anything job search related, anything recruitment related, feel free to put your questions in the comments. I'll get to the questions shortly after I speak about today's topic. All right. So, why I wanted to talk about this is, and this is so important and something so simple, folks. It's so simple and so basic. But the reason why I want to talk about this is, look, you got to have your LinkedIn profile ready before you even reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn. Okay. Now, as a recruiter, I get people reaching out to me all the time on LinkedIn. But a common mistake I see many people make, well, I wouldn't say many, I'd say at least a couple of times a week, I see this, right? From people who send me messages on LinkedIn. And it's simply this: their LinkedIn profile is not ready. It's an empty profile. Like folks, if you're reaching out to a recruiter on LinkedIn, I guarantee, I promise you, and any recruiters watching in, feel free to let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. If you are reaching out to a recruiter on LinkedIn and you send them a message, no matter how amazing and fantastic your message is, first thing they're going to do, folks, is they're going to click on your profile. They're going to visit your profile. Now, if your profile is not properly filled in, it does not have any details about yourself, no details about your current positions, your previous positions, no details about what you bring to the table, then that is a lost opportunity. Why? Because now I'm on your LinkedIn profile. So your message got my attention, which is great. Hey, that means you wrote a pretty good message. But that's just one thing. The second thing is this recruiter going to go to my profile, be impressed by what they see on my profile, and then want to continue communication or maybe even get on a phone call with you? Because that's a different story. That's a separate story, right? So this today's tip of the week is have your LinkedIn profile ready. It's got to be ready. It's got to be filled out. And you got to have that ready and filled out before you even start messaging recruiters on LinkedIn. This is a common mistake I see oftentimes from people who are messaging recruiters on LinkedIn. If your LinkedIn profile is empty, you might as well not be on LinkedIn, folks. There's no point in you being on LinkedIn, right? So I just wanted to share a quick few tips in regards to that. I'm going to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas in regards to this that I personally look for as a recruiter. Sweta says, "Oh, nice, so nice of you, Dean. Thanks for the hey, no worries, Sweta. Keep killing it, keep doing well, my friend. Always good to have you here." Peter says, "I've just pushed the follow button of Sweta. Awesome, good. She's definitely someone you want to follow." So I see a few more comments here. I'm going to get into the comments shortly, folks, but let me start with today's topic right now. Tip number 1 in regards to your LinkedIn profile, very simple, folks. And that is simply your LinkedIn headline. Okay. Now your LinkedIn headline is that thing. Sorry, folks, for those of you on Instagram, there's things are screwing up. I'm going to end the Instagram session, unfortunately. Really sorry about that, folks. For those of you on Instagram, tune in on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter if you want to continue watching the screen. It just keeps flashing on and off on Instagram. So I'm just going to end that. So yeah, sorry about that for the rest of you. Sorry about that. I just had to end my Instagram session. Always things screwing up on Instagram. I don't know what's going on. So in any case, first things first, folks. On your LinkedIn profile, simplest, most basic thing is your LinkedIn headline. Now, the LinkedIn headline is basically that area that is right underneath your name. Okay, so for example, if you visit my profile, it says Dean Kulaweera. Right under that, my headline says, I think it says IT recruiter, and then my email address. Right. This is the simplest part of your LinkedIn profile that a lot of you can like. It's like the number one thing each and every one of you can do. Now, my suggestion in regards to this is, and I'm speaking from a recruiter standpoint, okay? From a recruiter standpoint, I just want to know what you do. What do you do? What does this person do when I'm visiting your profile? Don't make this like some crime scene investigation, folks. This is not CSI, okay? This is not CSI. I'm not some private investigator. Your LinkedIn profile is not like a crime scene or something, okay? So my suggestion, LinkedIn headline, keep it simple, keep it straightforward. What do you do? Your job title, types of roles you're looking for. That's it. Okay, I would avoid the fancy quotes. I would avoid the "oh, sky's the limit" and be the brightest star in the sky. Like those are great. Those are motivational. I get why a lot of you are putting that stuff in, which is great. That's amazing. The intention is there, but let's be practical, folks. Let's be pragmatic. Okay, when a recruiter is looking at your profile, first thing they're gonna look at is probably your name. Next thing is your headline, so that they know if they want to take a further look at your profile. And so keep it simple. Okay, so if you're a business analyst, like at a very basic simple level, just keep it simple, keep it straightforward. If you're a recruiter like me, just like I just put IT recruiter and my email address and maybe my contact information as well, right? And maybe I should add more contact information, but that's another story. That's another thing entirely. If you're a project manager, program manager, software developer, Java developer, .NET developer, whatever it is, like the point here is your headline should indicate what you do, what kind of positions you're looking for, right? If anything else. So keep it simple, right? So the LinkedIn headline, very important. What you do, it should communicate what you do. Anything else beyond that point, you want to add a fancy little quote, feel free to do that. But the first part of the headline, put what you do, folks. What you do is the most important thing, and that's what the recruiter is going to be looking at, because that's what the recruiter wants to know first and foremost, right? Before they know what an amazing person you are, your interests, your hobbies, and the motivational quotes. Before all that, the recruiter wants to know, what does this person do? Because if this person does something related to a role that I'm recruiting on right now, I'm definitely going to be taking a closer look at the profile. So that's tip number one in regards to the LinkedIn profile. Now, tip number two, the about section. This is also a very important section that the recruiter will be looking at. Now, the about section on your LinkedIn profile, and again, folks, I'm sharing my standpoint as a recruiter on this, okay? The about section in your LinkedIn profile, you could pretty much, if you wanted to, like if you're feeling really lazy, you don't want to type out like a whole bunch of different stuff there, simply copy and paste the professional summary area of your LinkedIn, of your resume onto your about section in your LinkedIn profile. At its very simplest, at its very basics, if you at least do that, then you're at least on the right track, right? Now, the about section is where you want to give an overview of yourself, what you do, what you bring to the table. Maybe you want to mention some standout projects there, okay? And for those of you in IT and tech, maybe even mention in some of the certifications, qualifications you have. These might be very important depending on your field, and that's something you want to add into the about section. Now, another thing I would also add to that in the about section is, and this should be probably in the lower portion of the about section, and that is your skills summary, right? Because this is, again, one of those things that recruiters are constantly keeping their eye on, right? As a recruiter myself, my search, when I'm conducting the initial search, when I'm searching for people on the ATS, when I'm searching for people on LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed, my search is based around skill sets, right? Usually technical skills, because I recruit in IT. So you want to put a skills summary in the about section. I would say beneath your summary of yourself, where you talk about yourself, just put in a skills summary, because again, as the recruiter scrolling through your profile, it just gives them more encouragement to keep on reading. And when they see the skill summary, they're going to be like, okay, they got this, they got this, they got this, they got this. Okay, great. Those are things I'm looking for in an ideal candidate. Let me keep reading. They're going to keep scrolling down and reading through, right? So that's another suggestion is the second thing is the about section on LinkedIn profile. You want to make sure that is filled out. Now, the third thing is your experience, your professional work experience. Like this is an area that when I see this part empty on LinkedIn profiles, folks, I'm sorry, but it just makes me shake my head. Right now, when I say fill this area out, right, if all you're doing is filling out your company name, the years you work there, and your title, and that's all you're doing, that's not enough. Okay, like this is everything on your LinkedIn profile is a selling opportunity, right? And this especially goes for those of you who might have some generic job titles. Like just recently, I had someone reach out to me. They're like, "Oh, Dina, I'm a such and such. I have this and this experience. I have this and this." I go to their LinkedIn profile, and their job title and the official job title was something very generic. Like I think it was like analyst or consultant or something like that. And which is fine, because I know some companies out there, the official job title does not reflect the actual role at all times, unfortunately, right? Now, if that is the case for you, folks, you got to use your common sense, like, right? Like, I mean, if you have some generic title like consultant or analyst or something like that, guess what? You do have to fill in some details in the description for that position. Like, take the time to fill in that description, because if all you have is analyst or consultant or something like that, and no other details about what you did at the position, what you accomplished, what was your responsibilities, what was the project you worked on, what were the outcomes you achieved, if that area is left empty, I'm talking about the description for each position on your LinkedIn profile, I mean, it doesn't, I'm going to move on to someone else, folks. It doesn't get my attention, right? Because it's just very generic. You just list your title, and like, that's it. Like, I don't have time to go back and forth with you on LinkedIn messaging or email to try and figure out what exactly you accomplished. So please, folks, all right, like, and I don't know why this is not common knowledge, like, and I know most of you are not doing this intentionally, all right, but it's just frustrating because so many great people out there, you got great experiences, great accomplishments, and you're not taking the time to fill in your LinkedIn profile, and it's a lost opportunity, because guess what? I'm going to just move on to the next candidate, the next profile. I'm not going to dwell on this and try to figure out what you've accomplished and what you've done. So folks, please, if you're going to be messaging people on LinkedIn, recruiters such as myself, hiring managers, peers, whoever it is, make sure before you implement that strategy, make sure you fill in your LinkedIn profile. And again, work experience, what you did at each of your positions, right? The experiences. Don't just list the job title. Don't just list the company. Don't just list the years. Fill in the description area for that. What you did at each position. What were the projects you worked on? Now, of course, practice your good judgment here. I don't want you violating any non-disclosure agreements or anything like that. So just talk about the stuff you can talk about, but at least mention what you did. What were your responsibilities? What were the outcomes you helped achieve? This is so important, right? Because this is what gets the recruiter's attention and makes the recruiter want to. Because guess what? When I see a great, properly filled in profile like that, I read through each position and I'm like, okay, wow, this person has obviously accomplished some great stuff at this position. Guess what I'm going to do, folks? I'm going to respond to the message. I'm going to be like, hey, I just looked over your LinkedIn profile. Looks like you did some great stuff at this company. Let's get on a phone call. That is the next step. The whole purpose, okay, like the end goal of your LinkedIn profile, folks, should be that it should lead to a phone call, video conversation, whatever it is. Like, that should be the next step. The LinkedIn profile is not an end in itself. Okay, if you're taking notes, write this down. My LinkedIn profile is not an end in and of itself. And what I mean by that is the end goal of your LinkedIn profile is not for people to just look at your profile and just feel impressed and like, wow, that's amazing. No, it should lead to a conversation, an actual conversation. And the real conversations, folks, I know it's 2021, but the real conversations still take place on the phone, video calls, or in person. Now, usually it's not going to immediately lead to an in-person conversation. So usually it's going to be a phone call or a video conversation, right? That is the end goal of your LinkedIn profile. So if you're not filling it in, you're not putting in the details, I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, folks, right? But all I'm saying is, let's like this is the reality of your LinkedIn profile. There is a strategy behind it. It has to lead and make the recruiter want to get on a phone call with you. And if you fill in the details of what you did at each position, at the very least, I mean, at least you increase your chances of getting the recruiter wanting to get on a phone call with you or wanting to schedule a video conversation with you, right? Now, again, I just want to stress again, for those of you who are at companies where the official title is not always a reflection of the actual stuff you did, this is especially important. So take the time in the work. You know what I'm talking about, right? The description for each position. Take some time to put in some details about what you did, what your real responsibilities were, and of course, outcomes, achievements, and all that stuff, because that stuff is very important as well, right? So before I get into the next section, let's check out the comments here. Any feedback and comments here? So we got Arjun here. No, Arjun says, no, Dean, I'm based in Brussels as a sophomore. Okay, I knew you were somewhere in Europe, Arjun. I definitely remember that. Arjun says your live sessions really helped to negotiate 24K hike. Wow, that's amazing. And LinkedIn tricks help to get direct interview offers from recruiters. Completely changes the perspective. Wow, I'm so happy to hear that, Arjun. Thank you so much for sharing that feedback. I try to keep it practical and pragmatic, folks, here, right? I try not to sugarcoat anything. I don't do the fluffy duffy make believe stuff. I try to focus and I try to keep it real, right? So I'm so glad to hear that you've gotten some great results there, Arjun. Right? I always appreciate you tuning in. Thanks so much for that feedback as well. DVH says, really love your content, sir. Very helpful. Hey, no worries, DVH. No problem, my friend. Great to have you here. DVH says, can you please help me? What's the scope of an entry level data analyst in Canada? Okay, so I'm going to get to this question shortly, Divyesh. So give me a second. So let me finish talking about today's topic, and I'm going to respond to your question after. Arjun says, in a headline, it's better to add the location as well. Yeah, good point. Thanks for reminding me about that, Arjun. That's also a good point as well. I would definitely recommend that, especially because, not all roles out there are okay with a 100% remote, and the location might matter for sure. Peter says, Arjun, why should I add the location? Many people work remotely, even for a company in a different continent. Personally, I don't want to lock myself to one country. Yeah, I mean, fair point, Peter. I would say the location is a good thing, because it's one of those things that can, I mean, there's two sides to this, right? Because you bring up a good point, Peter. It can work against you, but it can also work for you as well. Now, how it can work for you is, let's say I'm a recruiter, I'm recruiting for an employer. They're looking for a hybrid employee, okay, someone who works partially from home, partially on site. Now, if I see someone in their headline, they're like, I don't know, software developer, Toronto, that's going to get my attention, because I'm like, okay, for this hybrid position, I don't want to spend my time with anyone that's outside of Canada or outside of Toronto. So I want to focus my attention on people that are in Toronto. Then this person would definitely capture my attention, right? Now, on the flip side, of course, there's a negative about that as well, right? Because maybe you might not be considered because you're in a particular region, right? Because if I'm recruiting for a position and it's based out of, I don't know, some other location, and I see that this person's in Toronto, that might prevent me. But that being said, if it's for 100% remote positions, I mean, the location won't matter, right? But yeah, thanks for sharing that, Peter. Good point. Arjun says recruiters search for skills and location. Yep, very true, Arjun. Recruiters definitely do pay attention to location. Again, depending on the requirements for the role. If it's a hybrid role, or if it's a role that requires an in-person, specification of location, an in-person location, then yeah, I mean, it definitely is something the recruiter is looking for. Arjun says, if you mention in the headline, then your profile will show first than others. Yeah, this can definitely work from that standpoint as well. Peter says, yes, but it has to be separate part of your profile, not in the headline. Okay, and then Narinder says, hey, Dean, are you helping with getting sponsorship visa to travel on ICT? No, Narinder, unfortunately, I'm not. Typically, and this goes for most staffing agency recruiters out there, typically our clients expect us to find people that do not require sponsorship and do not require basically, any kind of work permit, or like all of that stuff has to be in place typically with staffing agencies and third party recruiters such as myself. Now, if you want to know about whether a company is okay with sponsoring you or considering you for a position, and you're in a totally different country, my suggestion, and this is not just for Narendra but everyone else out there, you should focus your networking efforts, folks, directly with hiring managers, and even then, I'm kind of iffy about this, but maybe with corporate internal recruiters at the companies you want to work for. Okay, but third party recruiters such as myself, for the most part, I mean, unless there's a major skills shortage in your area, in your field, I mean, typically we don't. Our clients expect us to present people that have their work permit. They have the ability to work locally, and in most cases, even for remote positions, even people that are already here in Canada. All right, so thanks for your comment there, Narinder. Okay, so before I go into any of the other questions, let me continue with today's topic, and I'm going to get into the Q&A part. So the fourth part is, on your LinkedIn profile, you want to also fill in your education and your certifications and your qualifications. Okay. Now, those of you in IT, this could be, and again, this might depend on your field, but definitely in IT, this is something very important, right? Because especially some roles in particular, recruiters going to be looking for, hey, do they have these qualifications or certifications or certain educational requirements? So fill in the certifications and educational qualifications part of your LinkedIn profile as well. This could be, again, could depend on your field, but speaking as an IT recruiter, definitely in IT, this is something very important. So take the time to fill in your educational qualifications and certifications. Now, I already know what some of you are thinking, right? Those of you overseas in different countries, you're like, oh, Dean, well, I did my bachelor's, I did my master's in a different country. Does that still? Yeah, it doesn't matter, folks. Fill that information in, okay? Because the recruiter needs to know that you have these qualifications and certifications. Now, Determining whether those are legitimate and all that stuff, that'll happen during the background check. All right. So I know 99% of you out there are not fabricating and making things up. So this doesn't apply to most of you out there. So most of you out there, fill in the educational qualification stuff. For those of you out there who might be considering, and again, I'm not trying to offend anyone out there. I know 99% of you, 99.9% of you out there don't do this. But if you're doing things like making up your educational qualifications and stuff, this will backfire during the background check. All right, at least here in Canada, in most cases. So just a heads up for those of you out there, right? So educational qualifications. Now the final part is, and I highly recommend, is recommendations. Okay, there's a great feature on LinkedIn that allows you to add recommendations, where you can get recommendations from previous supervisors, managers, people you reported to. I highly recommend you fill in this portion on your LinkedIn profile. And my suggestion is, go for people that you reported to. Okay, like not maybe you can put your peers if you want, like people you worked alongside, but I would recommend instead that you focus your recommendations on managers that you reported to, your supervisors, your managers, especially if they have, like, manager, director, VP, C-level titles. Like, it just adds more weight to the recommendation, right? It just adds more weight. And yes, I know not all recommendations are going to be sincere. Yes, of course, maybe you might be friends with these managers and maybe they're just talking great stuff about you. They're not talking about the bad stuff or the mistakes and all that stuff. But still, it has this psychological effect on recruiters, right? Because recruiters are like, oh, wow, like this person got a recommendation from their director or from their some C-level executive, and it's at this amazing, well-known company. It just adds more weight. It just makes me want to get into a conversation with the candidate, right? So see if you can get some recommendations for yourself on your LinkedIn profile, folks. And just also another tip is, look, if you're gonna ask a recommendation from someone, see if you can somehow return a favor to them. Like, I don't know, maybe give them a recommendation or write something nice about them. It's all about reciprocation, folks. All right, the more you are willing to do for others, the more that others are willing to do for you, right? There's got to be reciprocation. So those will be the main parts of a LinkedIn profile that recruiters look at. All right. So again, there's many parts to your LinkedIn profile, many things you can do with your LinkedIn profile. Today, I just wanted to talk about the most important parts that recruiters typically look at. All right. So quick refresher: if you missed it, watch the replay after the session is done. Again, number one is your headline, your LinkedIn headline. Number two is your actual work experiences. Fill in the details of what you did at each position. Number three is your educational qualifications and your certifications. And number four is recommendations. All right, recommendations from managers, people you reported to, senior managers, directors, VP, C-level executives. Like, these add weight and make the recruiter want to explore things a bit further with you and actually reach out to you. All right. So make sure those are all done in your LinkedIn profile, folks. Look, my message in regards to this is simply this. Before you start messaging people on LinkedIn, make sure your LinkedIn profile is in good shape. Maybe make sure you put in the effort, the time and the effort in filling out the various aspects of your LinkedIn profile. Because the first thing anyone's going to do, whether it's a recruiter, whether it's a hiring manager, first thing they do is, if your message gets their attention, they're going to check out your LinkedIn profile, right? They're going to check out your LinkedIn profile. If it doesn't capture their attention a bit more, they might provide you with some polite response, like, hey, appreciate you reaching out. Let's stay in touch, or something of that sorts. But if you have a great LinkedIn profile, it has details, it has eye-catching information, it makes them want to learn more about you. It is possible they might respond and be like, hey, let's get on a phone call, or hey, let's schedule a video call, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen 100% of the time, but this is all stuff to help you build momentum in that direction. Because remember, folks, your LinkedIn profile is not an end in and of itself, right? The end is to get on a phone call or a video conversation with the right people being recruiters and hiring managers out there, right? That is the end goal of your LinkedIn profile, right? So just make sure you keep this in mind, folks, and hope today's topic was helpful. Before I get into the questions, make sure you hit me up with a like and share if you found today's content helpful. If you want to follow me on my other social channels, again, my Linktree link is linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter, linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. All my social media links are there if you want to follow me on my other social channels. And let's get into some of the questions. All right. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments. So let me see here. I know that Divyesh had yeah, there you go. Okay, so Divyesh, my friend Divyesh from YouTube, shout out to Divyesh. Thanks so much for tuning in. So Divyesh asked me, could you please help me? What's the scope of an entry level data analyst in Canada? Now, by scope, if you mean what are there opportunities for entry level data analysts in Canada? Yeah, absolutely, Divyesh. There definitely are. Something very simple. This is not just for you, Divyesh, but everyone else out there. If you ever want to do a simple basic thing to research whether there is a potential demand for the area you're interested in, just visit any major popular job board, right? So Divyesh, visit indeed.ca, monster.ca, LinkedIn, and just search for entry data analyst roles. And this will give you at least a rough idea of whether there indeed are data analyst opportunities in Canada. Now, there definitely are many. I'm sure tons of entry level data analyst positions in Canada. Now, my recommendation, however, Divyesh, and again, this could depend on your situation, is entry level is very competitive because there's new graduates locally here graduating, and universities and colleges are churning out new graduates all the time, right? Like new graduates who want to get into data analysis, and because of that, it's highly competitive, usually at the entry level, right? Just because there's so much competition. So a couple of suggestions for you, Divyesh, is number one, start building your own portfolio of work, right? You don't just say, oh yeah, I'm a new graduate, I'm looking for the entry level data analyst positions. That's not enough. Have a portfolio, folks, and this goes out to all of you new graduates out there that might be watching. Leverage your academic projects. Yes, those do count for something. Don't just say I have a degree and a diploma and blah 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 at whatever university or college. That's just one thing, right? You talk about your projects that you completed in school. Leverage those, use those, leverage those. Now, maybe you don't want to talk about all of them, but at least pick out one or two key projects you worked on that you can talk about in your conversation. The second thing is start building and continue building your own portfolio of sample work. Keep that momentum. You got to show them that you got stuff you're working on, so you can show them, hey, here, this is what I can do. This is what I'm working on right now. This is what I can do. And the other thing is, Divyesh, if you're in a different country right now, my suggestion is your best bet is of course to have a conversation with a qualified, credible immigration consultant about your options in moving here. Unfortunately, I can't really answer any immigration related questions, but that would be my advice to you for now. So yes, there are data analyst opportunities in Canada. Entry level is pretty competitive, so just make sure you're leveraging your academic knowledge and experience and projects that you did, and continue and keep building your own portfolio of work so that they know you're up to date, you're on top of things in your field, and you're able to show what you can do. Because ultimately, for entry level positions, right, businesses, organizations, they want to know if you can apply what you've learned. So show them what you've learned and show that you can apply what you've learned. That is the key. So hope that helps, Divyesh. Thanks so much for your question. Let's see if we have any other questions here. So we got Jonathan Hadish. So shout out to Jonathan Hadish. Thanks so much for tuning in. So Jonathan says, hey Dean, can you recommend us who to connect for an entry level or junior level web developer? Okay, so now, yeah, so this is a great question. I get asked this a lot. Now, for those of you folks tuning in, if you're an entry level or junior level, in Jonathan's case, web developer or whatever it is, your time is best spent networking directly with hiring managers, and corporate internal recruiters at the companies you want to work for. Third party recruiters such as myself, right? Recruitment agencies, staffing agencies, third party recruiters such as myself. Typically, we recruit at the intermediate level to senior level. That is the sweet spot. That is what most third party recruiters such as myself focus our efforts on. These are the most of the roles that we get from our clients. Typically, they're at the intermediate to senior level. So if you're an entry level person or a junior level person, you have less than 3 to 4 years of professional work experience. Your best bet is to focus your networking efforts directly with hiring managers and directly with corporate internal recruiters at the companies you want to work for. So this is why a lot of you out there, if you're a junior level person, an entry level person, a new graduate, you've been trying to reach out to staffing agencies and staffing agencies aren't that responsive. This is why, because typically staffing agencies and recruitment agencies, and again, third party recruiters such as myself, most of the roles we get from our clients are at the intermediate level and up. So 3-4+ years of experience and up. Like those are the positions that we usually get engaged on to recruit on. right? So hope that helps, Jonathan. Great question there. So yeah, folks, you got to focus. You got to know exactly where you want to focus your efforts, right? So Divyesh says, "Thank you, sir." Hey, no worries, Divyesh. No need to call me sir, by the way. Just call me Dean. Divyesh is completely fine. So it looks like that's it, folks. That's it for me today. And again, if you're an IT professional in the Greater Toronto area, make sure you send me a connection request or just send me a message. Introduce yourself. Let me know a bit more about yourself, who you are, and make sure your LinkedIn profile is filled in. Especially if you watch this session, no excuses. Okay, I'm gonna be looking at your LinkedIn profile. If it's not filled in, I'm gonna call you up. I'm gonna respond to your message. I'm gonna be like, hey, if you joined in my session today, you got to fill in your LinkedIn profile before you send out any more messages. All right. So I hope this session was helpful for those of you, for all of you folks out there. Again, if you're an IT professional in the Greater Toronto area, I want to know you. I want to connect with you. I want to stay in communication with you. If I can't help you now, let's think long term. Maybe I can help you in the future at some point. All right. Hey, Dean Kulaweera here. Join me again next week, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone, for more job search or recruitment related tips, advice, and strategies. And hey, stay focused, stay focused, folks. Keep taking action. Hope you have a fantastic week ahead, and I'll see you around next time. All right, everyone, take care.